Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see 14th and as well as 15th January 2026 current affairs. And this video is going to be a little bit lengthy, so please try to bear me at least for 1 hour so that we can complete our analysis of these 2 days. Okay. So in this 14th January current affairs, the first topic is about Supreme Court questions EC on voter deletion and citizenship. So already you know about this topic. It is not at all a new topic. It is about SIR, and this topic is important from polity. And next topic is Trump tells Iran protesters to take control of institutions. On this 14th January newspaper, so most of the articles are related to Iran and as well as US relations. Okay, already we discussed about why Iran is in that bad economic crisis and what is happening in this Iran and what US is saying regarding this. Already we discussed that in our earlier class. But once again, let us have it just a small recap. And this topic is important from international relations from GS paper 2. Our next topic is quick commerce platforms to stop 10-minute surveys. As you all know that we have this Blinkit, Zepto apps, which will provide service within less than 10 minutes, right? So if you're having that kind of promises, then what happens? The delivery persons have to do certain risk, right? So because of this, what is happening here is there is increase in number of accidents for them. So because of this, we are going to stop that to 10-minute service, and this is important from governance. And next topic is Uttarakhand seeks IAF's help as forest fire rages in Valley of Flowers for 5th day. So from last 5 days onwards, there is forest fire in this Uttarakhand region, and we have to see what is the reason behind this. And this topic is very important from disaster management from GS paper 3. Next topic is governor's rule in Mizoram. Tribal council extended. So this article is very important from your polity. You have to say about what is governor's rule and what is this tribal council, why it is in Mizoram, what is the schedule, you have to see that. And next topic is India must focus on AI and its environmental impact. So here this article is saying that because of using of more AI, it is having impact on environment. This topic is important from science and technology from GS paper 3 and as well as environment and ecology. And next topic is language of harmony. So this article is talking about protection of minority languages. This topic is important from polity from GS paper 2. All these articles are important from 14th. But from 15th also we have good number of articles. I saw many images regarding Makar Sankranti. So let us see about that. And this topic is important from art and culture from GS paper 1 point of view. And next topic is passive euthanasia. So actually Supreme Court is going to take that case of passive euthanasia. You have to know what is euthanasia. This topic is important from polity and as well as ethics. And next topic is vulture safe zones will be created in Tamil Nadu. State government tell Madras High Court. So here you have to know about what are this vulture safe zones is about. And this topic is important from environment and ecology from GS paper 3. And next topic is NGT issues notices to 3 states over contamination of water. As you all know that recently in Madhya Pradesh, there is an issue of contamination of water and many people they died, more than 200 deaths and thousands of people they got admitted in the hospital. So because of this, NGT now issues notices. So this article is important from GS paper 3 under environment and ecology, and even health from governance point of view as well. And next topic is an exploration of India's minerals diplomacy. So here you have to say about critical minerals diplomacy of India. And this topic is important from governance point of view from GS paper 2. And next topic is what is futuristic marine and space biotechnology. On this area you may get a question. This topic is important from GS paper 3 under science and technology. So these are the articles which appeared in 15th, and we are going to see this together and try to bear me guys. And I will skip unnecessary information, only what is required. I'll try to say that only. Okay, please be focused. Okay, now let us see the first image itself. You can see Supreme Court questions Election Commission on voter deletion and citizenship. Okay, as you all know that recently our government of India came up with this SIR. SIR is nothing but special entrance revision. It is nothing but door-to-door step survey, and we are going to see in detail who are there in that house. We check the documents and we will continue with remaining their names in the voter list or deletion. So that is called as SIR. So because of this SIR in UP, around 3 crore members' names had been deleted. And not only that, in Kerala, Tamil Nadu also, many people, they lost their names in their voter list. So because of this now, many petitions are filed in Supreme Court related to this deletion of names in the voter IDs. So now Supreme Court questioning this election commission on voter deletion of citizenship. So regarding that, election commission also gave an answer. What is that? It is our constitutional duty. It is under Article 324, 325 and 326. Already we discussed that in the earlier class. Please refer that notes once. Okay, this article is saying that Supreme Court of India is hearing multiple petitions, and these petitions are challenging Election Commission's Special Entrance Division SIR of electoral rules. This SIR had been started in Bihar elections, right? And later it had been expanded to other states like UP, West Bengal, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, etc. So SIR process which involves verifying voter eligibility, including citizenship, and that led to the deletion of many people's data or their names in this voter ID list. So what are the arguments which made by this election commission? Election commission says it is our constitutional duty under Article 324. We already explained that. Okay, and election commission's council argued that its decisions on citizenship for elected purposes are binding in nature, even on president. Whatever the decision taken by election commission of India, it is binding. There is a point that you have to remember. And what is the impact of this kind of removal of names in the voter ID? That will lead to the removal of their names, so that it will lead to disenfranchisement. And it will affect genuine citizens, especially migrant people, poor people and marginalized groups. That is the thing which mainly said here. And next one here is, it will also dilute universal adult suffrage, which is said in Article 326. Okay, next one here is, we are also going to have certain positive impact. What is that positive impact? We are going to remove duplicate names, dead names, non-citizens, and we can enhance election fairness, and even we can prevent foreigners' influence in Indian elections. That is the thing which mainly said here. Okay, clear? This is about this topic, and actually this is not at all a new topic. And see this next article, guys. Title says, Trump tells Iran protesters to take control of institutions. Okay, now let us see this article clearly, guys. So this article is saying that Trump, that is nothing but US, is telling protesters, where these protesters are there in Iran, what? To take control of institutions. So actually what is happening in Iran? People are protesting in Iran. Why people are protesting in Iran? Because of economic crisis. What is it? Economic crisis? Inflation. The prices of goods and services very high. That led to increased unaffordability. The people are not able to afford for those prices. And this one is, if inflation is high, if there is very less demand for goods and services, what about the shopkeepers? Shopkeepers are not happy. Shopkeepers are not happy. They are also showing certain concern. And actually the reason behind this economic crisis is Iran's nuclear deal. Iran's nuclear deal came up in year 2015. Under this, US and other countries don't want uranium enrichment, that is helpful for making of nuclear bombs in Iran. And later on in 2018, US left. After US left from this Iran's nuclear deal, it started imposing of sanctions on Iran. And not only that, they came up with this act called as CAATSA, Countering American Adversaries Through Sanction Act. And under that act, now US started imposing sanctions on countries which are purchasing oil from Iran, even India also. Because of this, India reduced its imports from Iran and it made it to zero, guys. Okay, now what is happening here? Protests are happening. And actually Iran government wants to control this protest. So now US interfering and is saying that the people who are doing peaceful protest, Iran government should not stop them to protest. And now here US made a fresh statement that asking these protesters to take over the control of institutions. So because of this is in news case. Okay, clear? That is about this topic. And next topic, see here, I found an interesting image. So what can you see here? You can see water and large group of people are present, right? And what are they doing? They are doing community fishing. All the community people, they are doing fishing together. This is called as community fishing event. So actually villagers, you are participating in community fishing event as part of Magh Bihu festival in Assam. In Assam, tribals are celebrating this Magh Bihu. As part of that festival, they are doing this community fishing. So here you have to know about this Magh Bihu. Magh Bihu is also called as Bhogali Bihu and it is one of the major Bihu festivals celebrated in state of Assam. And it is a harvest festival. And there are certain key facts that you have to see here. It is also called as Bhogali Bihu. Bhog means nothing but enjoyment or feasting. And significance here is this festival marks the end of harvesting season and they celebrates a bountiful harvest. And it is a festival of abundance, gratitude to nature and as well as community feasting. And when they celebrate in this month of January. It is nothing but Magh, which coincides with Makara Sankranti. Okay, that is the thing, guys. And in this festival, the people, they will cook traditional foods like pitas, nothing but rice cakes, laru, coconut sesame sweets, chira means nothing but flattened rice, and jolpan, light snacks. Okay, and the name of this festival is called as Festival of Eating or Enjoyment. Clear? Now let us see the next article. Look at the title, guys. Quick commerce platforms to stop 10-minute service. Very, very important article, and everyone use this kind of apps, right? There's a common notion that if you are ordering in certain apps, will get delivery within 10 minutes, and that is a point which will be highlighted by this advertisements also by this kind of apps. Right, now let us see this article clearly. This article is saying that quick commerce platforms in India, like we have Blinkit. Blinkit is owned by Zomato itself, Swiggy, Instamart and Zepto. So they have revolutionized our urban shopping. What is the promise they made? Ultra fast delivery of service within 10 minutes for groceries, electronics, essential, etc. And actually these models became very popular after this COVID-19 pandemic, right? Especially in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. They are used by the citizens of the cities so that they will get this delivery of services within fraction of minutes. So this article is saying that because of this aggressive timelines of delivery within 10 minutes, they are facing criticism for endangering delivery riders like gig workers. Often they will go very fast, they will go for reckless driving to meet the targets, such that that will lead to accidents, health issues and as well as poor working conditions of them. So because of this, recently our Union Labour Minister met executives from this Blinkit, Swiggy, Instamart, Zepto and as well as Zomato to address the safety and as well as working condition of the gig workers. And ministry urged these platforms to drop or to remove this 10 minutes delivery promise from branding, advertising and apps, etc. Why? Because accidents and as well as back-to-back deliveries they have to do within a very less amount of time, lack of adequate insurance, and even there will be no support for these people. So because of this, our Union Labour Ministry gave this advisory. So what is the impact of this kind of advisories? First one here is reducing the stress, and even we can reduce accident risk. And next one here is we can improve safety of these riders, and it will also lead to better pay structures and as well as insurance. And next one here is there will be minimal disruption as customers' loyalty is driven by overall speed and convenience rather than the exact 10 minutes promise, so that we can maintain the good strong opinion of people or public on this kind of platforms. but there are certain challenges. What are the challenges here? They are also having certain competitors like Amazon, Flipkarts. And next one here is, it will also have impact on the economy of that rider also. It will be affecting this economy of rider. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember, guys. And next topic, see here how beautiful this image is. This article is saying that Uttarakhand seeks IAF, Indian Air Force help as forest fire rages in Valley of Flowers for the 5th day. From this last 5 days, there is a forest fire in this Valley of Flowers. You can see how beautiful the valley is. In that valley, this forest fire happened, and now it is very difficult to control that fire. So because of this, it is in news, and this topic is very important from your environment and ecology, and you may get a question regarding this Valley of Flowers in your prelims. At last, I'll show you the prelims questions also, don't worry. Okay, so context says that Uttarakhand seeks IAF's help as forest fire rages in Valley of Flowers for the 5th day. It is a major environmental crisis which happened in month of January in 2026 case. Why? Because this is very, very important UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Okay. And if you see the details of this forest fire, it started on January 9th itself, on 2026 January 9th, it had been started. Sorry, and it is part of Nanda Devi National Park. And where it is located in Chamoli district, Uttarakhand. And this blaze has raged for 5 consecutive days continuously. And who detected this? First, Forest Survey of India detected this. And fire is occurring at an altitude of, see the altitude, how high it is, 3,300 to 4,200 meters above the sea level. And this area is located between Lakshman Ganga and as well as Alkananda rivers. And the problem here is these routes are inaccessible because of its mountain terrain. There is no proper roads or paths, etc. And this is a very highly unusual Uttarakhand fire because the major reason is the very less or no snowfall on these hills. So because of this, it led to this forest fire. And why we have to control this? Because this region is very, very important for biodiversity. We are having lots of flora and as well as fauna in this region, and it is ecologically sensitive area. Okay, what are the challenges here we have? The first one here is extreme steep slopes, high elevation, is nothing but height is very high, and we have even the threat of falling of boulders here and shooting stones and lack of access to the routes. Okay, yeah, that is the thing here, guys. And what is the impact on environment and ecology? Because of this kind of forest fires, it will affect pristine alpine meadows and even the biodiversity which is present in this Valley of Flowers, because it is home to endangered species like snow leopards, musk deer, and unique high altitude flora. And if the loss of vegetation happens, it will also lead to soil erosion, and it will also affect water cycles. It will affect the water level in the rivers like Alkananda, etc. And it may have long-term ecological imbalance. And even whenever the forest fire happens, it will release carbon dioxide emissions that will lead to climate changes. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to remember from this article, guys. And now let us see the next article. Look at the title. Governor's rule in Mizoram Tribal Council extended. Very, very important. You have to know about this topic, and this is important from your polity. Especially this topic is important from schedules point of view. Schedule 6. Okay, now let us see the context. Chekma Autonomous District Council. It is one of Mizoram's 3 autonomous district councils. So actually in Mizoram we have 3 autonomous district councils. First one is Lai, second one is Mara, and third one is Chekma. And it was established in year 1972 itself under 6th schedule. Okay, and this area is bordering with Bangladesh and as well as Myanmar. Actually, this council has 24 seats. 20 members are elected members and 4 are nominated by governor. Okay, and actually governor rule was first imposed on July 7, 2025 for 6 months. because of instability in this area and leadership changes, defections, everything. So what has happened here? So this governor's rule has been extended, imposed. And because of this, what is happening now? Even though political instability is continuing, everything. So because of this, once again, this governor rule has been extended in this council. Again, it is in news. Okay, what is the impact here? So if governor rule is imposed, it will be having impact on developmental projects, fund allocation, local administration, caretaker control, socio-economic welfare. It won't happen. And prolonged governor rule also raised the concerns over democratic deficit in autonomous bodies. And even tribal self-governments is also issue, and there is erosion of trust. And next one here is instability can also happen. Instability can lead to insecurity, cross-border ties with Bangladesh and Myanmar, human trafficking, drug trafficking, armed trafficking, insurgency. Education can be affected, health can be affected, infrastructure can be affected. So all this will be the effects. And now let us see the next article. Title says language of harmony. So this article is very, very important, guys, because this article is talking about minority languages in India. Okay, if you see the context, this article is saying that rights of minorities of language or linguistic minorities must be protected in every state. In each and every state, the rights of these people needs to be protected. That is about this article context. If you see about the rights of linguistic minorities, India is home to immense linguistic diversity. We have 22 scheduled languages, we have 11 classical languages, and we have different dialects that were spoken in India. And linguistic minorities are nothing but simply the groups which they speak minority language. That is nothing but their language is different from this majority group's language. Okay, especially Tamil speakers in Kerala, Maharashtra, Kannada speakers in Tamil Nadu, or Hindi speakers in southern states, they will become minority language speakers. So actually here the core idea of this article here is we have to protect any regional language, okay, and we have to coexist with them irrespective of whatever the language they speak. For that only we came up with this reorganization of states based on the languages. That is nothing but States Reorganization Act of 1956 case. And if you see about this constitutional provisions related to the protection of those minorities, we have Article 29(1), Article 30, Article 350A, and Article 350B. So, and Article 347. So, these are the articles related to this protection of linguistic minorities. Already we discussed about that in the classes. Just check what are those articles are about. And even I will be sharing you the PDF of this class, so you can check that once after the class is done. And not only that, Supreme Court also came up with certain cases. The cases are TMA Pai Foundation versus State of Karnataka and DAV College versus State of Punjab. So in that cases, Supreme Court clearly said that it is a right which is given to the people to pursue their education in whatever the languages they want. It is not this Supreme Court judgment is saying that we should not impose any language as a medium of their education. Okay, next one here is what are the challenges in implementation. So here we have certain challenges like and even enforcement of mother tongue education. So even though Article 350 says that we have to go for education, providing of education in their mother tongue, there is no proper enforcement of that throughout our country. Because in remote areas, there is lack of teachers or resources from that region. And this one is sometimes the promotion of state languages like Malayalam, Hindi, etc. that will also leads to this protest in the states. And next one here is there is deficiency in reporting itself, gap in safeguarding and follow up by the states, etc. And even many a times the small languages or minority languages are are facing the threats. Okay, now let us see the next article. Title says India must focus on AI and its environmental impact. So nowadays we are using more and more AI, and even recently there is one report which says that India is the world's largest user of AI or present in India, like ChatGPT, Gemini AI, Perplexity, etc. like that. So here this article is saying that India's rapid push for AI leadership includes the India AI mission. Government of India came up with this India AI mission 2024. So because of this, there is high-end computing infrastructure in our country. And even recently, Government of India launched AI Impact Summit 2026 in New Delhi. The theme of this event is People, Planet, Progress to Balance Innovation Sustainability. So this article is saying that India is going for AI boom in India. AI boom leads to expansion of data centers, and also India's capacity is going to reach 1.8 GW, that is gigawatts, by 2027, and even there is increasing of digital India investments in our country. And even we are focusing on improving of training, inference of large models, and we are including more and more AI in our day-to-day life. So because of this, we are having certain key concerns. First one is energy consumption will be more. Whenever we are coming up with expansion of these data centers, and even whenever we are using this AI, and I gave you a small example here, if you are using AI in your laptop, the time that your battery will give is less compared to that of normal other usage. That means there will be more and more energy consumption. There will be doubling of energy consumption. So it is one threat for India. Why? Because most of our energy that we are producing by using what? By using thermal or coal. Again, that will lead to increasing of carbon dioxide emissions. And next one is we cannot achieve our target of net zero by 2070 if we are using more and more AI. And next one here is cooling. Cooling in these data centers also require more and water intensive. So because of this, also billions of liters annually we require to cool these systems. It will further enhance scarcity of water problem in India. So these are the things that you have to remember. And next article it is saying that are India's small towns being increasingly urbanized. So this article is saying that Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and later Bangalore, Hyderabad became spatial fixes for capitalism. Actually, what is happening here? Urban centers are developing in these areas like Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata, Bangalore, Hyderabad. So because of this, they are absorbing labor, and even there is increasing of consumption, and even we are creating certain kinds of conditions for accumulation in this area. And actually Government of India is also focusing on developing of urban centers, for example Amrut scheme, and we are expanding that version for even small towns, and we are coming up with increasing of infrastructure in these regions and investments. So here this article is saying that nowadays small towns, they are the primary frontiers of Indian urban future. Clear? So that is about this topic, and let us see the practice questions. I think I came up with two questions only. So see these questions. First one is with reference to environmental impact of AI in India. Consider the following statements. First one is data centers powering AI operations currently contribute around 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions, with projections indicating a potential doubling by 2026 to 2030. And next one is India AI mission emphasizes sustainability by mandating renewable energy use for all new data centers. Third one is People, Planet, Progress to address AI role in balancing innovation with environment concerns. Which of the above statements are right? So please tell me your answer in the comment box. I won't tell answer. And next question, see here, with reference to recent developments in India's quick commerce sector, consider the following statements. First one, Union Labour Ministry urged platforms like Blinkit, Swiggy, Instamart, and Zepto to remove 10 minutes delivery promise from branding to reduce pressure on delivery riders and improve safety. This one is Blinkit was the first to comply by changing its tagline and focusing on fast deliveries without specific commitments. And third one is this intervention follows nationwide strikes by Zig workers and aims to address accident risk without significantly impacting overall delivery times. And you have to identify which of the statements are right. Clear? So please let me know your answers in the comment box. Now let us analyze articles from 15th January. Okay. First, let us see the image here. I think AP and Telangana people, they know about this festival. There is no need of explaining that much. But states, people from other states, they have to know about this festival. Okay. So I found this image in the front page of International Edition, and different editions also had this kind of image. So this pic which mainly depicts about a Gangireddu. Gangireddu means nothing but decorated bull. Decorated bull performs during Bogi celebrations, marking the first day of Sankranti festival along Beach Road in Vishakhapatnam. Okay, here let us see about this facts regarding this Makar Sankranti. Makar Sankranti is also known as Uttarayana. It is a Hindu festival celebrated annually on January 14th. If it is a leap year, it is celebrated on January 15th. Okay, it signifies sun's transition into zodiac sign of Capricorn. That is nothing but Makara. So actually this festival marks the end of winter solstice and beginning of longer days. And this festival is dedicated to solar deity, that is nothing but Surya. And it is having immense cultural, religious, and as well as agricultural significance seen throughout India. So if you say about this cultural diversity, it is celebrated across India with different names. And even in other countries also they will celebrate this festival. For example, Pongal, Magh, Bihu, Uttarayana, etc. And the customs is also different compared to that of one region to another region. And if you see the social festivities that we can see in this festival, we can see decorations and melas. Social festivities includes colorful decorations. We have melas, it is nothing but fairs and dances. And even rural children go to house. They will go for singing and seeking treats in some regions. And the very, very important thing here is kite flying. In Gujarat, the festival is celebrated with kite flying, which symbolizes breaking free from the past and reaching new heights. That is the meaning of flying of kites. And this one is bonfires. They will lit that at the end of winter season, especially in the regions like Punjab. And families, they come together, celebrate around this bonfires, and they will enjoy the feast. So these are certain facts regarding this Makara Sankranti festival. And if you see the next article, title says, Supreme Court to decide today on plea for passive euthanasia. So here you have to see what is euthanasia. So after the next day newspaper, whatever the Supreme Court give the judgment, so we'll be having good number of articles related to that. We'll discuss that. But as of now, we have to know about what is this euthanasia, passive euthanasia and active euthanasia. So euthanasia is nothing but the practice of ending the life of a patient to limit the patient's suffering, to decrease the patient's sufferings. We are going to allow him to die. In this, we have two types, active euthanasia and passive euthanasia. Active euthanasia occurs when medical professionals or any other person, they deliberately do something by injecting some chemicals or medicines so that will lead to the loss of life. And passive is nothing but we will do nothing. We will try to remove this oxygen support or we will stop giving the treatment. Then what happened? Ultimately, they will die. This is called as passive euthanasia. If you see about the details regarding euthanasia in India, Supreme Court of India came up with a landmark judgment, and the name of the judgment is Common Cause versus Union of India in 2018. It recognized that a person have the right to die with dignity. Especially terminally ill patients or ill persons can opt for passive euthanasia. Okay, in India, we are allowing this passive euthanasia. And also laid down guidelines for living will made by terminal ill patients who beforehand know about their chances of slipping into a permanent vegetative state. So even if they want to do any will, yes, they can do that. That is called as living will. And previous in this 2011, Supreme Court recognized passive euthanasia in Aruna Shanbhag case for the first time. And after that in 18, Supreme Court is allowing this passive euthanasia. Okay, and is a part of Article 21. And next article here is vulture safe zones will be created in Tamil Nadu. Government tells Madras High Court. This is very, very important article. So vultures are the important birds which is present in our ecosystem, which will maintain the health of environment. Why? Because they are called as scavengers. whatever the dead bodies are there in that environment or that surroundings, so these vultures will come and feed on them. So because of that, they are called as scavengers. So what happened here is, because of one drug called as diclofenac, which is normally used as painkiller by these veterinary doctors, after the death of that animal, this diclofenac compound will be there in the dead body. And these vultures, if they come and if they consume this diclofenac will enter into their bodies. And finally, that will cause kidney failure, kidney damage. Because of this kidney failure, lots of these vultures had been died. Around 90 to 95% of vultures population had been declined in India. So because of this, now our government is taking utmost protection for this, giving utmost protection for this vultures. So now even Tamil Nadu government is also going to have this vulture safe zones, and this topic is very important from your environment and ecology guides. So if you see about these vulture safe zones, they are designated areas, and the important aim it is to create safe habitat for vultures by eliminating threats, particularly use of toxic veterinary non-steroid painkiller called as diclofenac, which is commonly administered in animals. Okay. In Tamil Nadu, they are going to come up with first vulture safe zone, and it is around Moyar River Valley. And this Moyar River Valley is present in Nilagiri Biosphere Reserve. Okay, you have to remember that for sure. And what they are going to do in this zone here is, they are going to monitor and they are going to restrict the sale and use of harmful drug like diclofenac in this 100 kilometers radius. Okay, and this is part of national as well as state level conservation of this vulture, and it is part of India's action plan for vulture conservation. And why government is doing this kind of things? Why government has to take the steps? The first one is, vultures in India includes a species like white-rumped vulture, long-billed vulture. Their population had been drastically declined by 90% since 1990s because of this diclofenac poisoning. So now Tamil Nadu state government informed this Madras High Court that yes, we are going to control this kind of use of diclofenac drug by creating this vulture safe zones. And what is the impact? We can have the positive environment impact, because we can increase the vulture population in this region, and we can maintain biodiversity, and we can maintain ecological balance as well. And not only that, we can promote vulture safe drugs like meloxicam rather than this diclofenac. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to remember. And next article is, NGT issues notice to 3 states over contamination of water. And which are those 3 states? We have Rajasthan, UP and MP. Now let us see this article in detail. If you see about this article, recently in Madhya Pradesh, many people they got affected because of this contamination. We studied what are the reasons behind it. So sewage water is mixing with this drinking water, and because of this there is a coliform and other bacterial population had been growth in this, and that is causing gastroenteritis, vomitings, dehydration, finally death. Right, more than 200 people they had lost their life because of this contamination of this municipal water. So because of this, NGT issues notices to these 3 states over contamination of water now. And if you see certain facts regarding this NGT, the full form here is National Green Tribunal. And this was established on October 18, 2010, that is 2010 was being established. And was being established under National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. Actually, this NGT, National Green Tribunal, it is a specialized body, and this body is dedicated to handle the cases related to environmental protection, forest conservation, and even legal rights related to environment. And if you see the composition of this NGT, we have a retired Supreme Court judge as a chairperson. If there is no retired Supreme Court judge, we can take as Chief Justice of High Court. And who will appoint them? Central government will be appointing them. And apart from that, we have 10 to 12 other members. They are judicial members. They belong to former Supreme Court judges or former High Court judges. And they can have the tenure of 5 years or till 67 years. And not only that, we have certain expert members also. These expert members includes 10 to 20 members, and they had degree from science, technology, and relevant environmental experience like that. Now let us see the next article. Title says an exploration of India's minerals diplomacy. This article is talking about critical minerals of India and how can we manage them and how can we become self-sufficient in that critical minerals. This article is very important and you can expect a mains-based question here. So what is India's mineral diplomacy? It is nothing but our country's strategic efforts to secure access to these critical minerals. How can we get access to these critical minerals? We can have international partners, we can do certain trade agreements, and we can get certain investments, and we can do some diplomatic engagements, and we can focus on the resources which are very essential for making of the infrastructure related to clean energy and as well as defense, high technology industries like lithium, cobalt, nickel, rare earth metals, copper, etc. And we have to go for multilateral and as well as bilateral agreements to secure this critical minerals in India. And with which countries we had this MOUs recently? We did with Australia, we did with US, Japan, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and as well as Central Asian countries like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and as well as Turkmenistan, etc. So for what? We have to go for joint exploration as well as mining, processing, and as well as technology transfer. Why India is having this kind of mineral diplomacy? Because we don't have reserves and we have to depend on other countries. On which country we depended more? China. And with this China, we don't have good relations. So we have to decrease dependency on our imports from China and we have to go for supply chain diversification. And obviously, we have to focus on economic development and also it is important for our national security. And even we have to achieve our goals like carbon neutrality by 2070. So for that, we need to have this kind of transitions. And this one here is global supply chain disruptions are happening. So we have to curb this Chinese exports of this rare earth metals, and for that we need to go for strategic autonomy, and we have to ensure that we have to reduce the tensions. For all these things, we need to have that. And not only that, if we want to support our industrial growth, clean energy ambitions, and it is very much important for our electric vehicles, solar panels, batteries, etc. So for this, we need to have this. Okay, if you're having this kind of good mineral diplomacy, then what is advantage? We can improve our economy, we can improve our production, we can increase our investments in this sector, we can achieve our climate targets, and we can enhance energy security in our country. We can go for green energy transition, and in the long term, we can have the good processing in our country, recycling, refinery industries, etc. And we can maintain good relations with other countries also. Okay, that's the thing that you have to remember. And there is one article, look at the title, what is futuristic marine and space biotechnology? So you can get a question in your prelims like recently futuristic space and marine technology is in use, what it means, and they'll give you ABCD options. So you have to be very careful about that. So let us see this. Futuristic space and marine biotechnology research focuses on underexplored environments. So till now, whatever the environments which had not been discovered or not been experienced, we are doing on that. Like for example, deep oceans, outer space, and we are going to develop new biological knowledge, materials, and manufacturing processes in this area. That is called as futuristic space and marine biotechnology. In space biotechnology, ISRO is doing microgravity biology program, and we are doing experiments on microbes, algae, biological system, and we are studying about food production, life support generation, etc. And in the marine and space biotechnology, we are focusing on unexplored frontiers where early movers are likely going to do the research. Okay, so that is about this topic, guys. Just you have to see this first paragraph, that's it. And now let us see the practice questions. First one here is, with reference to India's critical mineral strategy, consider the following statements. First one is India has joined US-led mineral security program. Next one is the National Critical Mineral Mission was launched in 2025 with focus on domestic exploration, recycling, and overseas acquisitions. India is fully self-sufficient in all 30 identified critical minerals. You have to identify correct statements. Please let me know what is the answer for this question. If you say the statements clearly, even if you don't know anything about that, you can solve this question, guys. So use techniques. And next question, see here, critical minerals are vital for which of the following sectors in India? Electric vehicles and battery storage, renewable energy, defense equipments and semiconductors, traditional agriculture. Answer is very easy, dead easy. Please let me know your answer in the comment box, don't forget. And next question is the primary threat addressed by vulture safe zones in Tamil Nadu is? First one, habitat fragmentation due to infrastructure projects, use of toxic veterinary NSAIDs like diclofenac in livestock treatment, poaching for feathers and traditional medicine, electrocution from power lines. Tell me the answer. So I'm doing lots of hard work for you guys, and I'm recording these 2 videos back to back, means it is not a simple thing. I have to do English recording and as well as Telugu recording. So this is my 3rd class since evening. So try to understand my hard work and try to click this just like button, please, because if this video is having more and more likes, the reach will be increased. So that will be helpful for us. The thing that you can do by recognizing my hard work, to recognize my hard work, is just click this like button, guys. Thank you so much. And if you like this class, please do hit the like button. Please do share this class to your friends and do subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy. Thank you so much, guys.